Coming up on Tech News Weekly, is Away's communication culture actually an overcorrection to Google's anything goes approach? Also, is Ring officially Amazon's surveillance arm? Lots of questions on this week's episode of Tech News Weekly. Also, Qualcomm's new Snapdragon 865 is bringing 5G and better camera capabilities to next year's premium smartphones in the Android space. And Amazon's AWS is bringing AI to music composition. The results are kind of hit and miss. All that and more coming up next on Tech News Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Tech News Weekly, episode 110, recorded Thursday, December 5th, 2019. This episode of Tech News Weekly is brought to you by RingCentral. With RingCentral, you'll get everything you need in one place for your business communication needs. With all-in-one cloud phone, video conferencing, and team messaging, staying connected has never been easier. Save with their holiday bundle offer and don't pay until 2020 when you go to ringcentral.com/TNW.
And by Worldwide Technology. Worldwide Technology's Advanced Technology Center is like no other testing and research lab with more than $500 million of equipment, including OEMs like Dell EMC. And it's virtual, so you can access it 24/7. To learn more and get insights into all that it offers, go to wwt.com/twit.
And by privacy.com. Stop using the same card number everywhere. Use Privacy's virtual cards to protect your financial information and get a free $5 credit that you can use on any online purchase just for signing up today. To learn more and sign up in under a minute, go to privacy.com/TNW.
Hello and welcome to Tech News Weekly, the show where every week we talk to and about the people making and breaking the tech news. This is Jason Howell.
Returning. It's been too long.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm feeling rested.
You're glowing.
Relaxed. Tanned.
Yes.
Because I don't know if you knew this or not, but I was in Maui.
You were?
On a beach sipping Mai Tais for almost 2 weeks.
That sounds amazing.
It was fantastic. But it's good to be back.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
I happen to be Mikah Sargent, and our first story today, imagine a world where you don't send emails. That sounds kind of good.
Yeah.
But you also can't send direct messages.
That sounds kind of weird.
And also, you need to have as much of your communication between one another at work in public.
Okay, I'm confused.
So, yeah, let's get into it.
Okay.
I saw the story come across, an excellent story in the sense that it was a sort of investigative piece by Zoe Schiffer of The Verge. And it talks about Away. Now, you may have heard of Away. If you've ever listened to a podcast, you've probably heard of Away.
Yes.
You know.
I also travel. So
That
there's
also
that
is
too.
that. There's listening to podcasts, there's traveling, and then there's a slight group that if you're just really into collecting luggage, then you may have heard of them.
I'm not a luggage collector.
No? Okay.
That is a group I do not belong to.
Not a fine luggage connoisseur, but as it were, Away, the luggage-making company that makes luggage that has charge ports and things like that. It has an interesting policy at work. So imagine a world where you don't send emails at all. I'm on board with that part.
Okay, I like that.
Emails are gone.
That's good.
But you exist in Slack. Not physically, but you do your communication in Slack.
Everything happening through Slack could
Yes.
be a little messy, but
Could be messy.
Companies do that.
But let's take it a step farther. No direct messages except for personal reasons. So no direct messages related to work. Okay. You can only send direct messages if, hey, you want to go get lunch, and no private channels, or rather they are very much discouraged unless, again, they are something to do with work. So Away is sort of existing in the space of, hey, we want to have all communications that take place in public places.
Okay.
But the fact is, companies are made up of human beings, and human beings exist in this world, and they communicate with one another, and they form relationships with one another. And I don't mean, platonic relationships, whatever. It's communication and relation. And when that takes place, then there's the need for conversations to take place in a place where you can feel safe and feel like you can maybe vent or do something like that. Well, there was a private Slack channel, which again, Away sort of frowns upon, where folks just talked about some of the issues that they came across at the company with people being, sort of insensitive to things and maybe not responding properly. But with it, things, this whole idea is against the company policy, as I mentioned. And so where some companies will try to limit communication in a way to make sure that the work is discussed in public places and that you can everybody's collaborating together, this company went very, very, very far with it. And because of that, it led to what they call a culture of intimidation and constant surveillance. So these companies' leaders are watching every single thing that the employees are doing, and then talking about bullying and call outs and things like that. So essentially the conversation that's taken place here is that marginalized groups within the company felt like they didn't have a place to be able to talk amongst themselves and be supported in that fact. And it has led to, as the headline says, a toxic work environment. So I don't know. I found this story fascinating in the sense that it is a very in-depth story. We were talking about this morning, everything that's involved.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail here.
It's clear that this is not just a one-time thing. This is a pattern of issues within the company and of people being silenced, and in some cases, people. There was one instance where a lead of the company seems to have gotten offended by someone saying that, hey, maybe we should have more representation on this group that's testing new features, and it led to that employee being what they called Slack bullied. So it is. It's an interesting thing because for me, I understand the need for these conversations to take place in public.
Unified, public conversations around everything that has to do with work.
With work, yeah. But I also think that we cannot forget that human beings are human beings, and that despite the training that you might take, despite the desire that you have to sort of follow the path and be that like robotic work person, we're human with emotions and things like that. Yeah. And so I'm curious, what's your take on this, and sort of, have you experienced any of this in any of your work history, where there's more or less surveillance on the stuff that the communications that are taking place, or where you felt like people were sort of monitoring?
Yeah, I think my answer to that would be I've never known. Like, I worked at CNET before working at TWiT here. And CNET's a much larger organization. Now they're owned by CBS. When I first started working there, it was just CNET, but it was a big company. And then CBS came in. And the reality is you never truly know as an employee how much you're being surveilled. I've always kind of operated under the assumption that if I'm using a computer at work, whether I know it's okay or not, whether it's been disclosed to me or not, that's kind of like always been my assumption. It's like, yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, like, I kind of work for them. I'm using their hardware. They control the communications in and out. So I just kind of assume that. Do I feel good about that? I mean, of course, in some ways I don't, but in some ways I understand. Like, it's their boat. They're allowing me to sit in their boat. Water.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying, though, which is that, these places that we work, we are humans that populate these places, and we're going to explore human relationships with each other, not necessarily in like falling in love and that sort of stuff, but just in like people who I may get along with more than others, or whatever, that I'm going to want to explore a friendship with, or whatever. Having restrictions around that feels like an overcorrection to maybe some of what's happened in Silicon Valley, Google being a very prime example of like, no, we're open, explore everything. Like, and now that's starting to, I think in some ways kind of bite them in the butt.
Right.
And they're starting to have to kind of close off that communication, figure out what that medium point is. But they existed for a very long time under that perspective. Maybe this is a reaction to that. We've seen what happens when you keep things really open. So let's make sure that we keep things just about business. And that in turn creates its own issues.
Yeah, I think you put it perfectly. The fact is, I also have just lived under that assumption that if I am sending messages on a device or a program that is owned by the company, then why not believe that that's the case? If there's something that I definitely don't want them to know, then I'm just going to send that somewhere else. And so I've worked at a few startups over the course of my career so far. And the first startup that I worked for, I was there for the introduction of the grueling introduction of switching from email to Slack. I loved switching to Slack, but it was, for a lot of people, it was grueling.
Yeah.
And so being there with the creation of it and being one of the lead advocates of us switching to it, I knew that we didn't have the setting turned on where it saves all of your messages and where you can go in and monitor this and monitor that. Of course, over time, then that company was purchased by a bigger company, and that's when things change.
Exactly. No,
and so that changed how I interacted with my coworkers and where I chose to interact with my coworkers. And then at Mobile Nations, while I worked there, same thing in the sense that the company did not have that feature turned on to where it was saving all the messages. And we were a primarily remote company. So having communication with your coworkers and also trying to form those relationships. And as we've talked about, we're not talking romantic relationships, it's platonic friendships and things like that. That was a primary place to be able to communicate with them. And so there was a sense of, we encourage you to feel free to speak as you would and understand that those communications are, as much as possible, they're private. And I appreciated that. But yeah, I understand where this comes in. Like you said, it's a little bit of an overcorrection perchance, or perhaps, and it's led to folks feeling like they cannot speak their mind, or what's more important than speaking one's mind is speaking truth to power, or speaking one's mind with the intent of making things better. And there's like, if there's a graph that shows morale at a company, the moment that people start to realize that they can't improve upon the company, that morale just crashes.
That plummets. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that is the biggest issue there, I think, is that if a company is creating this environment where folks don't feel like they can safely ask for change in a positive way, it's not going to go well. And that's what this huge, very long history of posts and responses is showing, that Away needs to work on, if they're outwardly, they say it's a vision of travel and inclusion, then inwardly they need to work on that in their environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up, Ring's transformation from scrappy upstart, if you remember that was years ago, to Amazon's surveillance wing. Which sounds really ominous. We're going to talk all about that. But first, this episode of Tech News Weekly is brought to you by RingCentral. RingCentral is the #1 global cloud phone system that does pretty much everything. RingCentral allows your business to have effortless communication. I mean, we use RingCentral here at Twit. We've had the phones here for years, and it's just really easy to use. It's like the phone, but next generation Office phone. It's great on the go. You can work remotely and manage your business from your mobile device by seamlessly switching between desktop and mobile without dropping a call. You can also route calls, video conference, utilize team messaging, online fax. It even integrates with all of your favorite apps. So Gmail, Zapier, Salesforce, Microsoft Outlook, and a whole lot more. You can take a look at those integrations on the site. You can retrieve voicemail, which also has a transcription feature. I love transcription of voicemails now. It's kind of hard to go back now that transcription is so good. So if you're stuck in a meeting, you don't actually have to listen. You can discreetly check your messages as they happen. It's the solution that grows with you and your company. It's easy to add additional users as you grow. RingCentral is more than just a phone system. You're going to simplify your workflow so you can connect easily with customers and employees, giving you effortless service. With any mode, on any device, anywhere, their app provides flawless integration that lets you transition from your personal phone to your computer during a call. The handoff is seamless. RingCentral's app is ahead of its time. It lets you send business SMS from your personal phone. You don't even have to transfer your contacts into the app. It automatically populates them for you. And they let you port existing numbers over from other services. RingCentral is the complete communication solution from one vendor. It starts as low as $19.99, saving you money and cutting your phone costs by at least 30%. RingCentral also makes it easy to switch from your current provider. They have customer service 24/7 by telephone, live chat, and email if you happen to need them. When you sign up today, you're going to get instant access to RingCentral's award-winning powerful phone system with text, fax, video conferencing, and more. Take advantage of their special holiday bundle offer for Tech News Weekly's audience only, and don't pay until 2020 when you go to ringcentral.com/TNW. That's RING Central.com/TNW, and we thank RingCentral for their support. Amazon's Ring has been incredibly popular for people looking to inject their homes with a bit of smart home tech. It's easy to install, it's powerful, and above all, it's smart in how it actually delivers real-time video to your phone, if you have one. That allows you to monitor your home while you happen to be away, but users aren't apparently the only ones with access to all that footage, as we've learned over many months of reports online. Caroline Haskins published a 3-part series covering Ring's ascension from startup to surveillance arm of Amazon. Caroline joins us now. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
You bet. It's great to get you on today. So you've got a series of stories that you've been posting over the last couple of days. Your first story actually talks about the evolution of Ring over the years, and you make a very poignant claim. You say Ring is a marketing company that realized it could make money by selling fear. Talk a little bit about how that works. I love how you summarize that, but talk about how that works.
Right. So basically what the first article talked about was how Ring was not originally conceived as a home security company at all. Like, it was pitched as Doorbot, which was just supposed to be a smart device for your door. And there was really no rhetoric about home security, crime, safety, none of that really in the original version of Ring. But then in 2014, it rebranded, and pretty much all of the marketing surrounding the product changed dramatically, even though it was essentially doing something very similar. So basically, most of Ring's advertisements talk about preventing crime, preventing suspicious activity, and deterring crime. And the whole premise of that is that you should have a reason to be scared of your neighbors, your neighborhood, or something happening to your family and your home. So essentially, the root of that has to do with fear in a way that, strangely enough, it was not originally a part of the pitch of the company, which was actually on Shark Tank. That was where Doorbot first entered the world.
It was like, at first it was, convenience. You can be in the bathroom and still answer the door. And then suddenly it became, wait a minute, how do we sell? And everybody knows fear sells. Obviously, Ring can capitalize off of that. Ultimately got bought up by Amazon, so capitalized big time off of that. Now we're starting to hear a lot of reports, and we have been over the past many months now, but your reporting kind of summarizes and dives even deeper into this, that police departments are actually being actively incentivized by Ring to grow this network, to kind of reach inside of this network of internet-connected cameras all across the world. Talk about how they're being incentivized to do this. What is Ring doing to kind of sweeten these deals? And does that go counter to what people assumed Ring was doing? Like, why is this taking people by surprise?
Right. So basically, I mean, obviously there's a lot of home security cameras. There's a lot of even doorbell cameras, things that are kind of similar to Ring. But what distinguishes Ring is that it's trying to build a relationship with law enforcement that's unlike any other security company on the market right now. And it does this in a couple of ways. So it offers police this portal, which basically streamlines the process of asking people to footage. And up until a couple months ago, when there were a lot of reports about this, it displayed the semi-approximate location of people that had Ring cameras. And generally speaking, people with Ring cameras, it's not like they got disclosed that they were automatically in this sort of portal that made it easier for law enforcement to request footage. But how did they get this portal in the first place? Basically, Ring offers a couple of things to sort of sweeten the deal. It offers discounts specifically for law enforcement. Sometimes it gives police departments free cameras. It has gone to police conferences and hosted these sort of elaborate parties, sort of like personality-driven parties with the founder, Jamie Siminoff, and Shaquille O'Neal, who's been a company spokesperson for a couple of years now. And I've gotten emails from people who are asking, "Oh, I heard I was going to get a free camera at this event. Where is it?" So the whole idea is to build brand loyalty with police departments on a really granular level. You know, it's not like Ring is doing a national marketing campaign for all of police departments. It is literally going one by one in different regions across the country. And it's really just proliferated over the past couple of years because it's been done really quietly and on a local level, and notably without really any public conversation or feedback. And we've been beginning to see a little bit of this recently with people saying, like in West Orange, for instance, there have been people who have said that their police department should reassess their relationship with Ring because they don't think it's ethical. But basically, they've already signed this contract, and police seem to be a little bit hesitant to back out once they're in. But at the same time, Ring is also escalating, and they've pursued partnerships on the state level. I got a GLOMI response when I asked for records from the FBI, which means they can neither confirm or deny the existence of records or correspondence with Ring. So really, this is all happening sort of out of the public eye. So what looks like an individual security camera on your front door is actually just one small piece of a really, really widespread surveillance network that local, state, and probably federal police can tap into. And it's something that I don't think everybody recognizes when they buy this product.
Yeah, so there's a conversation that I see take place anytime we start to talk about Ring. And I want to sort of open this up to you as a person who has paid attention, very close attention to this. So there's one side that says, yes, we've got these Ring cameras, and it has this Ring neighborhood app that people can download regardless of whether they have the Ring camera, and they can take part in this. And in the Ring neighborhood app, there is that sort of encouragement to be on the watch of all of your neighbors or your neighborhood. And with Ring, the current way that it's set up, you have the option to share your video with the police, with other people. You have the option to do so. But I want to understand, because I think that the conversation, regardless of whether it's an option or what some people have thought, you read headlines and then they turn it into, oh God, the police can automatically access the Ring footage, which is not the case. It is something that you opt into. But what I think that distinction there is not as important as the overall story here, which is that the police and Ring are working so closely together. So I kind of want your take on that. Whenever you do see that disagreement taking place, saying, well, it's a thing that you opt into, it's a thing that you can choose to do. It's my understanding that Ring has also made it easier for the police to ask for footage from different locations. So can you talk a little bit more about that, and let's dig into the details there and why, despite whether they get direct access or have to ask for it, that's not really the important point here.
Right. So, and that's a really good point. So Yeah, a lot of people do definitely point out that you do have to consent to provide footage, which is, obviously good. I guess the important thing to keep in mind is that there are certain power dynamics that are built into pretty much every interaction that people have with the police. And having the legal option to say no isn't always the same as having the social option to say no, or feeling as if that's a viable option for you as a citizen in a town where the police know pretty much where your camera is and they know that they need access to this footage. The other part of this is that they can subpoena for footage. They can request this. They can reach out to Ring and say, can you save this footage, basically? Can you preserve it and not delete it after a couple of weeks? Mm-hmm. And then they can basically go through the legal process of obtaining footage if people are so-called uncooperative. And there are documents that are indicating as much from a couple of police departments. And I think that one thing that you were talking about with neighbors that I guess I should point to is the particular culture around Ring, which I'm going to get a little bit into in my third piece, which hasn't come out yet, but should this week, is the general sense that if people are more scared of their neighborhood, then they're more likely to share footage because the barrier of entry for something appearing or deeming to be suspicious is a little bit lower. So you sort of have this proliferating amount of footage, and then you have it easier than ever for police to get access to this footage. You have a streamlined process in order for that to happen. And then you also have local police that have to cooperate, like, for instance, with ICE. Like, if ICE reaches out to local police, a lot of times that's a discussion within city council meetings, but a lot of times they do cooperate. So I'm not sure if I'm answering that question in a straightforward way, but there's a couple of things to consider that complicate the notion of straightforward consent. So yes, you can say yes, you can say no, and you can also choose which footage you would want to share with police. But I don't think that, considering Ring, I don't know if it's the best way to limit the discussion to whether you can literally say yes or whether police can just suck up the footage, because this is a part of a larger culture and a larger sort of relationship between this private company and all different tiers and all different levels of law enforcement.
I think you beautifully answered the question. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing you talk about in your two posts, your two articles, and I should also specify we've got BuzzFeed on your lower third. That's because you now work for BuzzFeed. This was the last series of articles that you filed working at Vice and Motherboard. So if people are confused, you find the article at Vice and Motherboard. Caroline is now with BuzzFeed, so just to get that out of the way. But you talk in your article a little bit about the Neighbors app, and this is the free app. Anyone can download it. It doesn't require Ring hardware to be installed in a home in order to participate, right? How important is that into how it feeds into the police portal and the importance of this into Ring's kind of surveillance strategy, if you want to call it that?
Right. So the interesting thing about Neighbors is that you can get footage from your Ring camera and feed it into the Neighbors app, but also its big selling point is that it can take footage from any security camera and you can put it on the app. So the fact that it's vendor neutral, that's what Ring calls it, that's actually been a selling point for police departments to partner with Ring and get access to the law enforcement portal, because the whole idea, even if in dozens of these contracts that I've reviewed, they say that they have to engage the community and encourage adoption of Ring products. Technically, the Neighbors app, which police sort of interact with using the portal, that app, you can get footage from any kind of security camera. And I'm going to get into this a little bit more in my third piece, but it's interesting in that you can see some parallels with cultures that have emerged on apps like Citizen or Nextdoor, where sort of people are encouraged to post and they're encouraged to share more footage of people sort of without context and without consent. And I've been on the Neighbors app, and viewing every post from my neighborhood for about a year. And it's very, very, very common for you to see, things like racial profiling or people that are said to be acting suspicious, or someone who is, lingering around an area, might be at a wrong address, might be, taking a picture of something, and people assume that they're planning a robbery, et cetera. But there's also this aesthetic of suspicion that's sort of built into security cameras. And the more footage that you're collecting, the more footage seems to be, well, let me clarify what I mean by aesthetic of suspicion. Basically, if you see something that was captured on a security camera, it looks suspicious because usually when you're viewing this footage, it's in the context of like local news or hearing that something terrible happened. But people are just collecting this on their own, encouraged implicitly to share it and sort of jump to certain conclusions or present things in a certain way. And a lot of times, again, this helps build sort of on one hand, it can be helpful for certain people, and there are undoubtedly things that are like actually criminal incidents that are captured on this app, but it seems like more often than not, it's building this particular culture of fear between you and your neighbors and sort of defining who looks suspicious, who belongs, and who doesn't. I mean, the Neighbors app has 5 categories of posts, and 3 of those posts have to do with an unknown visitor, a stranger, or a suspicious person. So implicitly built into the actual structure of the app and how you can make posts in the first place, you're encouraged to share people and incidents that look suspicious. And, just based off of the country that we live in, I mean, we see it all the time. A lot of this footage is, it's shared in a racist context, to be perfectly honest. It's pretty blatant racial profiling, and it's certainly not limited to neighbors, but it's certainly normalizing it, not just among people that have Ring cameras, but across different types of security camera vendors.
Yeah, I've even seen it myself. Like I have a Ring in my house and I get updates every once in a while, and definitely I've seen that in the feed where it's like it's a rush to judgment. It's the second I tap on a video from my front door and realize that's a person I don't know, I immediately think that something bad is happening. And I'm not speaking for myself, but that's the perspective that I see from people that are posting here, instead of realizing, wait a minute, actually, maybe that person was just kind of confused, ring the doorbell and realize, oh, shoot, I'm at the wrong house. I got to go over there. There's never the consideration of that. It's always the consideration of the worst case scenario of this particular unknown. So I've definitely seen it with my own eyes. Obviously, Ring is not Ring is the company creating this hardware, but the broader company that owns Ring is Amazon. So what does this say about Amazon's kind of intentions at this point? I think it's pretty important as people talk about Ring and the things that are happening at Ring that they kind of zoom out a little bit and realize actually Ring is Amazon. So what does it say about Amazon from your perspective?
Right. So there appears to be 2 main reasons that Amazon acquired Ring, and Ring was on Amazon's radar for a while, and it was an investor in Ring before it actually bought the company. But in any event, it seems to have a place in Amazon's whole ecosystem of package delivery, in the sense that it's an option to sort of secure that end of Amazon's business, because pretty much every time a package gets stolen, lost, or misplaced, Amazon loses money. So investing in home security products could either, I guess the thinking goes, either help Amazon or posture Amazon as someone who is trying to prevent this kind of thing. And the other part of this is the fact that Ring is compatible with Alexa products and smart home products that Amazon sells. So it's not just one individual product within the package ecosystem. It's also a part of this larger smart home ecosystem, which sort of embeds people within Amazon's entire world of products. And when things are compatible, I guess you could get into this sort of the amount of data that is either owned, operated, or managed by Amazon that has to do with multiple different parts of your life. But basically, it seems to come back to, again, to the package delivery aspect of it and the fact that it's compatible with Alexa devices.
Yeah. Well, Caroline, it's a pleasure getting you on, and congratulations on the move to BuzzFeed. People can find all of Caroline's work going forward. Just search for Caroline Haskins at BuzzFeed. If you want to check out this particular series of articles, like Caroline said, the third part of this should be posting probably in a matter of days, but you should definitely check out the two that are up already and come back for the third. I'm sure it's going to be just as compelling. Go to Vice to find that, Vice at Motherboard. Caroline, thank you for taking time to talk with us about this. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Now, coming up, Snap the Magic Dragon. Qualcomm's got two new chipsets, thank you, and we're going to learn all about them. But first, this episode of Tech News Weekly is brought to you by Worldwide Technology. WWT began building their Advanced Technology Center, that's ATC, about 10 years ago, and it has grown exponentially. It's like no other testing and research lab. The lab contains more than $500 million in equipment from hundreds of OEMs and key partners, ranging from heavyweights like Dell EMC, VMware, and Intel to emerging disruptors like Tanium, Equinix, and Expanse. WWT is a trusted partner who stays with you over the years. Many of their customers have been with them for over a decade because they know WWT is where they can go to get the answers they need to make sure their business runs right. Their ATC is an incubator for IT innovation and offers on-demand and schedulable labs like Dell EMC, VxRail, Extreme IO X2, and Isilon. These labs represent the newest advances in primary storage. There are hundreds of labs to explore, including multi-cloud, hyper-converged infrastructure, networking, secondary storage, data analytics, AI, and more. You can learn about products before you launch. WWT's engineers use these environments to quickly spin up proofs of concept and pilots using the sandbox so customers can confidently select the best solutions. In many cases, this reduces concept time from months to weeks, which increases speed to market. They also offer Lab as a Service, a dedicated lab space within the ATC. Here, customers can perform programmatic testing using the vast technology ecosystem that WWT has already built. It's virtual, so you can take full advantage of ATC's unique benefits anywhere in the world 24/7. WWT engineers work in these labs every day, beta testing new equipment and building reference architectures and custom integrations to help their customers make decisions and see results faster and with much less investment. WWT has launched their new digital platform encompassing the ATC ecosystem. This ecosystem creates a multiplier effect of knowledge, speed, and agility anytime, anywhere around the world for their customers. You can get access to articles, case studies, hands-on labs, and other tools that make the difference in today's fast-paced world. To learn more about WWT, the ATC, and to sign up for access to their new on-demand lab platform, you just head to wwt.com/twit and create an account today. WWT simplifies the complex. Now, again, that's wwt.com/twit. WWT, delivering business and technology outcomes around the world. Thanks, WWT.
All right. 2 days ago, I returned from an extended vacation in Maui. Today's guest is still there.
Rude.
Not that I'm jealous or anything. It's perfectly fine. Only Mishaal Ruh-mawn from XDA Developers is there, not for Mai Tais and snorkeling, but for Qualcomm Snapdragon Tech Summit, where the company unveiled not one, but two new chipsets for 2020 just yesterday. Mishaal, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking time away from the beach. Have you gotten any beach time, by the way? Because
I did. I was able to catch some beach time yesterday for about an hour. Hopefully able to catch some more before it rains tomorrow.
That's not enough time. Even when it rains in Maui at this time of year, it's still beautiful. So you should check it out anyways. Let's talk about technology. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue being jealous of you. First, the Snapdragon 865 is the premium chipset that they announced at the event yesterday. And as is always the case, we're going to see this in most of the top-of-the-line Android handsets throughout this coming year. How is Qualcomm approaching... Like, one of the highlights of this, of course, is kind of the 5G integration, but they're approaching it a little bit differently with this. How are they doing that?
Okay, so they have two different 5G enabled platforms, essentially.
Right.
The upper tier 865 it only supports one modem, which is the Snapdragon X55. This is not an on-die modem, so it's a discrete chip that must be paired with the 865, but it's the only modem that the 865 supports. So, no matter what device you get, even if the actual phone doesn't end up having the right band support, you'll still have a 5G chip in there, but it depends on whether or not the carrier and the OEM, they go through all they pack the right hardware, they do the certifications, they enable the right antennas. So the 855 plus the X55 plus the 865 is the high-end chip. And on the other side, the upper premium tier, the upper mid-range side is the 765 and the 765G Snapdragon platforms. Those two devices come with the new Snapdragon X52 modem, which is fully integrated into the chip itself. So there's no separate modem, separate from the SoC itself. And this one is their first fully integrated 5G chipset. If you compare the Snapdragon X52 in the 765 versus the Snapdragon X55 in the 865, you'll notice that the download speed and the upload speed is about half on the X52 integrated modem versus the discrete modem in the 865. But other than that, it's like 3.7 gigabits per second versus 7.5 gigabits per second, both insanely fast speeds.
Yeah, no matter what, it's pretty good.
No matter what, you're getting really good speeds.
Yeah, people aren't going to mind if they're getting a mid-tier, let's say an upper mid-tier device, and it has 5G capability baked in right out of the gate. And maybe it's a little slower than what 5G is capable of, but still ridiculously fast. Why do you think they went the different approach? Why didn't the premium have some sort of embedded option? I would think of premium, like offering embedded 5G into the premium option would just be wonderful for the top tier. Does this give the hardware manufacturers more flexibility around what they choose to do around 5G?
So I asked a product manager who worked on the 5G side about this exact question. He told me that it was because of the product development roadmap. They had decided years ago that they would develop the 865 SoC, and they would pair it with the X55 modem because they wanted to have the best of both worlds. They wanted to have the best application processor in the 865, and they wanted to have the best modem possible in the Snapdragon X55. So they had to develop it separately because, the 5G standards weren't really finalized until the middle of last year.
Right.
So they wanted to design both without having to compromise in any way, performance and specs on both platforms.
Okay, that makes sense. But there are more capabilities than just 5G here. 5G, again, we're still kind of playing it by ear. This is definitely going to speed things along a little bit on the handset side of things, but those networks still need to be built out and all that kind of stuff. So we're still kind of in a waiting game, but this is one step forward. What about some of the other things? I'm hearing a little bit about kind of image capabilities, particularly in the 865, the Spectra 480 image processor. What are some ways that this might wow us in the upcoming generation of phones?
Oh boy, I would say that the Spectra 480 ISP is definitely the biggest improvement in terms of year on year versus last year's 855. Wow. So one of the big things that they talked about on stage is the fact that they were able to achieve 2 gigapixel per second pixel processing. And because they have this massive increase in speed, they were able to slow down the clock cycle so that instead of processing 1 pixel per clock cycle, they're processing 4 pixels per clock cycle. So they have faster pixel processing, better thermal efficiency, more power saving. And because of all this greater efficiency, much faster processing, they're able to increase the resolution basically everywhere. So one of the first things they like to tout is the fact that not only can you capture 4K HDR video with the Spectra 480 ISP, but you can also take 64 megapixel images at the same time. So right now, if you use a Pixel phone, you can record a video and then you can tap the shutter button and take an image, right? But those images are not going to be as high quality as what you'll be getting with the 865's new Spectra.
Oh, that's nice.
Another thing that they're doing is the fact that the 720p videos at 960 frames per second, the slow motion videos, the Spectra 480 is now able to handle that kind of slow motion without any time constraints. Because the previous generation would, they didn't have enough thermal efficiency. It would start overheating, like the Spectra 380 in last year's model would just not be able to handle that kind of throughput. But now they've made such a big improvement that it's able to record limitlessly at 720p 960 frames per second. So those are just two of the biggest changes in the new image signal processor.
Nice. And I mean, changes that will undoubtedly start to appear in the Galaxy S11, which tends to be usually the S series from the Galaxy phones often are kind of one of the earlier devices that we start to see in the premium tier that start to utilize this new chip and or the Qualcomm's latest and greatest Snapdragon and all of those features kind of baked in. So I'm sure we'll start to see that. Another thing I'm hearing about is an improved fingerprint sensor, which personally, I was not a very big fan of the S10 in-display fingerprint sensor. I felt like it was really inaccurate. I felt like it promised a lot and delivered very little.
I used it for a little bit, and I immediately put that Samsung phone aside and said, and I'm going to use this really cool other one that didn't do, what was it, ultrasonic? The S10 had the ultrasonic, which is, from a technology perspective, is supposed to be better, but I just found the optical sensors to be better, more dependable. Yeah.
So how is that changing here? 3D Sonic Max fingerprint reader is part of this. What will that change in next year's models?
So the biggest change is the fact that the sensor itself is much bigger. Qualcomm says the new sensor is 17 times larger than it was before.
Wow.
So the recognition area, the area where you can put your finger and unlock your phone, is now 30 millimeters by 20 millimeters in size. So that's big enough, according to Qualcomm, to allow you to register two fingers at the same time. I'm sure no one's really going to be registering two fingers at the same time, because
although that's really secure.
Can you
but
imagine,
the idea is, the recognition area is so much bigger that you won't have to scramble to put your finger around. You will have a much easier time just putting your finger on the display and unlocking.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that's totally needed. Any of those in-display fingerprint sensors, it's always really precise as far as where exactly your finger needs to go. And had to know that at some point they were going to be able to figure out how to kind of broaden out that space.
Make the whole screen.
Yeah, that would be really nice, right?
I'm on board, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Anything else that you feel like we're missing here from this particular top-of-the-line chipset?
So there are a bunch of other changes that Qualcomm has been talking about. One of the most impressive that really wowed people on stage is thanks to the new generational AI improvements. They're calling their 5th generation AI engine. Without getting into too much of the details on how they improved it, if you paid attention to the demo, the one that really, really impressed people on stage was they had a speaker who was speaking to their phone. It was transcribing their voice while at the same time translating that voice into Mandarin. So not only were you able to save a transcript of your voice, but it was also translating it in real time into another language.
Oh, wow.
That's impressive.
That's nice. I love how fast this stuff is developing right now. It's so rapid around AI and what that's actually going to empower over the next couple of years. Really cool to see what that's going to turn into.
Like the singularity.
Yep. Well, yeah, okay, maybe not so cool. You mentioned earlier the 765G. This is the kind of upper mid-tier, but the G stands for gaming, so this is specific to gaming phones, which we are seeing more and more gaming phones in the Android space. Whether they're necessary or not, that's a personal preference, I would say, but people seem to like them. So how is this chip going to be tailored to gaming phones? What's it going to provide that the 765 doesn't?
So the 765G, as you mentioned, it's tailored towards gamers. In terms of the actual differences between it and the regular 765, the Prime core, which is the top core in the octa-core configuration, has been overclocked by 100 megahertz, which is not too big of a change. On the GPU side, they're using a 15% speed bin GPU. So basically, when they're manufacturing the GPUs, some are able to handle higher frequencies than others. Some are able to because of the voltage changes. So the ones that are able to handle the higher frequencies for longer, those are the ones that are going into the 765G. And finally, I guess the biggest difference between the two platforms is the fact that the 765G supports some of the Snapdragon Elite gaming features that Qualcomm announced. Snapdragon Elite Gaming is basically their umbrella term for the gaming-specific features that they announced last year and throughout this year, such as Game Smoother, Game Fast Loader, Game Network Latency Manager, Jank Reducer 2.0. A lot of terms that sound really cool, but app developers and OEMs even don't really have to worry about it because these are all integrated into the platform itself. And the goal is to just improve games in ways that users will appreciate, but they won't have to actually, notice or take mind of.
Right, or activate or anything like that. It just automatically brings those performance improvements to it. So nice. I like it. Probably most importantly, are you going to be drinking a Mai Tai before you return home?
Mr. Hawaii over here.
I don't know about when I'm returning home, but tomorrow there's going to be a big luau. Actually, no, that's tonight. Sorry, I got my dates mixed up. But yeah, definitely they'll be serving some really nice drinks.
Right on. I'm super jealous. So, why can't I go to Qualcomm events? Rahman, Mishaal Ruh-mawn is with XDA-Developers.com. Mishaal, you've been a guest on All About Android a number of times, and it's great to get you on Tech News Weekly. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy beach schedule and also covering this big event. We appreciate your time, Mishaal. Have a great rest of your trip, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Talk to you later. All right, is Amazon about to compete with Casio in the keyboard market?
Wait,
Did you see that coming?
I thought Casio made watches with
They
calculators
also make
on them.
really interesting little plinky plonky keyboards.
Oh, the Plinky Plunkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like those.
Yes. Plinky Plunker keyboard is coming up next. You'll see what I mean. But first, this episode of Tech News Weekly is brought to you by Privacy.com. You don't use the same password everywhere, so why use the same credit card number when you shop online? With Privacy.com, you get a brand new virtual Visa or MasterCard card number for every purchase that you make online with just one click. It's super easy. You simply download their browser extension from the Chrome Web Store, or they have an Android and iOS app, and you link your virtual cards to your U.S. checking account or debit card. That allows you to freeze and unfreeze cards and set spending limits per charge, per month, even per year. With Privacy.com's virtual card, you never worry about being billed twice or upgraded without your consent. You have full control. No need to worry about forgetting to cancel your subscriptions or your free trials. Never need to do that again. Refunds work even if the card is closed or paused. The security of your data, of course, is at the core of what privacy does. It's right there in the name. Your virtual cards are locked to a merchant, so you don't have to worry about changing your card everywhere if one happens to get hacked. You're going to get a decline email or a push notification if a hacker tries to use the card anywhere else. They're PCI DSS compliant. They're held to the same security standards as your bank. Sensitive information is secured using military-grade encryption, and information is encrypted using split key encryption with partial keys held by separate employees. Now, currently on their free personal plan, you can create up to 12 cards a month, secure, merchant locked, and single use. And now Privacy has just launched 2 paid versions. There's Pro and Teams. Pro costs $10 a month. You get access to everything that's included in the free personal plan. Plus, You get cash back on all purchases.
Wow.
36 cards a month. That's a lot of cards. And more security and privacy features. Teams are for those who own a small business or happen to be in charge of a team. That's $25 per month. That gives you access to everything that's included in the Pro version. Plus, you get a dedicated account manager, access to 60 cards a month, and transaction limits tailored to your business needs. Privacy believes customers should have full control of their data, so they provide their customers access to transaction data via a webhook API, and they support two-factor authentication.
Yeah, before you go to the call to action,
Yeah.
I just want to, let's skip the talking points for just a second.
Yeah.
Look me dead in the eyes. I'm serious. You've got to go get oh my God, he's doing it. No,
You
them
asked,
out there, you out there.
Okay.
Look me dead in the ears, I guess. I don't know.
There we go.
Listen very closely. Seriously, go get this app, go to the website, go to what he's about to tell you with the call to action, and go get this thing, because I promise you when you try it, you're really going to like it. This literally just came up last night. I wanted to go see a film, and the theater
Frozen
itself,
2, I know.
Frozen 2, obviously. Okay. Do you want to build another snowman?
Yeah.
And I wanted, there was a deal if you bought the tickets to get, I think, popcorn, an unlimited popcorn thing for $5. And if I use my normal thing, which is Fandango, to order the tickets, then they would not have given me that deal, but I needed to order them actually from the theater. Well, the theater's website, not something I felt really comfortable with. So it's like asking me for my card information. I'm like, not really feeling this. I go on to privacy. I make a quick card. I pop that in there. I set it so that it only is allowed to charge one time. And never again do I have to worry about that card being used anywhere else at all. It's fantastic. And being able to track your subscription services this way, that I know that anytime Netflix gets charged, it's only going to be able to let Netflix charge that card.
Super handy.
This is a brilliant idea. And I just really I need to get that point out there. You should really seriously try this. Now tell us how they can really seriously try this.
And then I'll ask you how Frozen 2 was.
Yes.
Protect your privacy and your money with virtual cards from privacy.com. You can learn more and get a $5 credit. That's $5 off your first purchase in the form of a credit when you visit privacy.com/TNW. That's privacy.com/TNW. Don't forget to check out their pro and team versions as well while you're there. Find the one that works best for you. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs all the way up. Instead of a talking snowman, they had a talking banana.
Okay, there we go. All right, good.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm sold.
Yep,
Gotta take the kids. Yeah, that's it. You sold me. I'm a big fan of the concept of using AI for creative works. I talked about it probably too many times on the shows here at Twit. Amazon apparently is too. Amazon Web Services unveiled a musical keyboard called Deep Composer. It's a mere $99 when it's out. I don't think it's out yet, but very soon. It's touted as, quote, the world's first musical keyboard powered by generative AI. Amazon even tied Jonathan Colton to pen a song using the AI as the backing track for his, I think, artful guitar and lyrical treatments. Jonathan is very talented. The result was Casio-tastic, and we have the clip lined up if you want to play a little part of it.
Out in Vegas, now I'm a brain in a jar.
So obviously his music is great. Everything in the background is what it generated. So we'll listen for a second here.
All of it? That's keyboard.
Yeah, the percussion elements that are happening. I'm not sure if there's any backing instrumentation. Definitely hearing the all that was kind of generated in the background. I mean, in the end, like, Jonathan is a very talented musician. I love his music. He always impresses me and surprises me kind of with his creativity and stuff. The music that the keyboard was creating was just, it sounded a little basic and everything, but it's neat that it does it all on its own, right? Like it created
really
the rhythms and stuff. It seems like a great step in the right direction. But any of the samples that they played throughout the event kind of sounded a little like you could pick up a really cheap Casio keyboard and do anything like that. But neat that it can do that at this
So
point.
when you say you can pick up a really cheap Casio keyboard and do that, you mean...
Yeah, do that by making the sounds, like programming the sounds. It doesn't sound, well, of course, it doesn't sound human, right?
Right.
It sounds like a computerized kind of creation
And
behind the scenes. And I think eventually it will move into the direction of sounding more human.
It'll get better.
Yeah.
And then it will figure out how to play the right frequency of sound that it can control us, control our minds.
God, your mind just always jumps to that, doesn't it?
I've just got to stay woke. You know what I mean?
One of us needs to.
Right.
The keyboard itself apparently is a reproduction of a MIDI controller by a company called MIDI Plus, which normally this keyboard sells for $46. Of course, it has Amazon's name on it.
So now it's $99.
And now it's $99. And what it does is it sends the MIDI controller information to the AWS cloud, where the real AI application layer is applied and then sent back to, control the accompanying tracks. So
you need to have a stable connection the whole time.
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I know that this AI stuff isn't happening on the device, so I don't know if it has a
buffer,
Ethernet or Wi-Fi capability.
It's got to have Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
at least.
I'm not really quite sure on that one. This happened while I was on a beach in Maui, so give me a break.
Hey, were you on a beach in Maui?
Yes, I was.
Did you have Mai Tais?
I'm going to go ahead and keep throwing that in your face. When are you going to Maui, by the way?
Never been to Hawaii.
Oh,
I hear
well,
it's
you
very
should go.
humid there. I don't know if I'd like it.
Now that you live on the West Coast, you should go. It's pretty cheap. I mean, cheaper. Anyways, musicians, I don't know necessarily want this particular application, like this particular keyboard, because it really does kind of feel toy-like. But
isn't that part of the charm, though? I think of those little, I don't know what they're called, stomp pedal things that have all the features, and it can make the music sound different, and they're all kind of cutesy and have fun little drawings and illustrations on them, and they make music sound electronic. And there's that it looks like a musical note.
We had one in here a couple of months ago, right?
You know what I'm talking about? Looks like a musical note. It has
is it a duck?
Yeah.
Is it a
one word, 2 syllables? Oh, then it's not a duck.
Is it a theremin?
Oh man, musical note instrument.
You're gonna get a lot of hits on that one.
That's it. This is it.
What is it?
It's called the Cube Meiwa Denki. That's not what it's called. Oh, automaton. Have you heard of the automaton?
I have not heard of it. Automaton.
And part of its thing is that it's a cute little toy, but it can make fun songs.
Automaton.
Can you name 8 songs played
automaton.
on the weird automaton? Of course you can.
I'm not sure that I could. I didn't even know.
Oh, look, it's only $25.
All right,
but if they had Amazon,
you get 4 of these
99.
instead of one of those keyboards.
Yeah.
So okay, well, I'm curious to know what that sounds like.
Anyway, so my point is, it's almost by the sheer fact that they didn't make some big bulky pro keyboard that you would then be unimpressed if it was making dinky blinkies. But the fact that it's just this little keyboard that is normally a $46 thing, that it can do this, it's sort of part of it. And if you said I created an album using this, that's part of the badge of honor. Yeah, the charm. That was the perfect word. Charm.
The charm of it. Well, so Amazon had claimed during their presentation that the JoCo, the Jonathan Colton collaboration, was the first hybrid AI human pop acoustic collaboration. That is a mouthful.
So now in the Guinness Book of World Records.
But they are not. Because a couple of years ago, we actually talked about it on Tech News Today. Back in August of 2017, there's a second clip that I put in there. We talked about Taryn Southern's song called Break Free that was composed with AI. Obviously, her human is voice. Her voice is human. Other way around. But I think a lot of the accompanying music was all generated through AI.
Okay.
And done pretty well.
The video was real.
Yeah, the video is real.
Not
I don't know about
fake.
the video. I think although there are deepfake elements in it.
Oh my God.
Where it's like showing clips of her and the art where you can apply the style of a certain art to something else. Like they're applying it through there. Nothing's
real.
So Amazon isn't the first to do this, but I do see, there you go.
Oh, like
there
Prisma.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
I think we're going to see more and more of this kind of over time. The fact that because there were a lot of people, especially musicians, who saw this and were like, "Oh my God, that sounds awful! Like I would never use that." And I think
somebody,
totally. But I love the idea of it, and I'm curious to see how this develops over time because at its core, like there is something very, very difficult to replicate around human creativity, but there's a lot that can be replicated. And what AI has shown is that things that we didn't think were possible for computers to do are now becoming possible. So will we get to a point where computers are able to be, air quotes, creative in a human way that is convincing to other humans? And I think that will happen
right now. Yeah, trying to get to that convincing stage. Right
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that that's going to happen at some point, and these are kind of like the early stages of that. There's like so much electronic music. It's all mathematics.
Right.
It's all mathematically applied. There's no reason why a computer couldn't make that if given the right amount of source material to learn from. And that's where we're at with AI right now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So,
and it's a little scary.
A little scary. Who knows? Maybe the music
cool.
that you love 10 years from now wasn't created by a human. It was created by a machine. By Skynet. It all goes back to Skynet. Skynet sipping Mai Tais on a beach in Maui.
Oh my God, I got to get out of here.
All right. So let's get out of here. Before we go, I just want to thank Gerald, Garrett, Kyle, Nick, and Casper. 5 folks sitting in the audience.
Wow.
Here.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for making us feel
Sorry
important.
you're not in Maui
special.
sipping Mai Tais on a beach.
Although we might have some Mai Tais. I don't know. Maybe Colleen is fixing Mai Tais right now
as
for
far
you
as
guys.
I know, she does that kind of thing. She's orchestrating it all.
Thanks for sitting in the studio today. Tech News Weekly publishes every Thursday. You can go to twit.tv/TNW. That's where we publish the show. That's where you can go to subscribe to the show in audio and video formats.
You can also be a part of the show by emailing us at tnw@twit.tv and follow us on social media. That's at Twit on Twitter and at twit.tv on Instagram. And yes, folks, we are now on TikTok. Unfortunately, I don't recall what our Twit TikTok name is. No, I do know it, and it's cute, and I love it. It's Twit Talk, TWITTOK, Twit Talk.
Of course
so
it is.
If you are one of those folks who's on TikTok, you can head to Twit Talk. And if you are wanting to follow me and see photos probably of my dogs on Instagram or my tweets about not Maui, that's at Mikah Sargent on all the social things. What about you, Jason Howell?
So I go away for 2 weeks to Maui, drinking Mai Tais on a beach, and I come back and we're on TikTok.
We're on TikTok.
This is all news to me. I'm at Jason Howell on Twitter, and that's about it. Thanks to everyone who helps us do the show each and every week. Jeff, John, Bert, Colleen for fixing Mai Tais for us. And thanks to you for watching. We'll see you next week on Tech News Weekly. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. And I sip my Mai Tai.